Shay Behboodi. Welcome to the Underground Society. How are you?
Good, man. Yeah, I gotta tell
Good.
you, sports in high school, that last name did not do me any good.
What were some of the things that you would be called?
Big Booty was the number one.
Okay. As a manager, what do you typically look for when you are looking at artists to add to your roster?
Obviously, they gotta have the tools, right? Be like a one-stop shop. They're a lot older than me. They gotta have, a big booty. That's obviously a big one in the dance world. Anyone can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm gonna be a manager. It's like getting a dog. If you want a dog, go get a dog. I chose to be a manager. It's like if I opened up Ableton, I'd probably be in my house.
That's crazy. The new technology with AI, have you incorporated any of the new stuff?
For sure. I mean, I write our press releases with ChatGPT all the time. I think that's like the one thing that's always like in the back of my head. I'm like, damn, the robots, man, they're going to take over the world.
What would be your next move? Like, if you had to get pushed out of music?
Probably go become like a chiropractor or something. Unless robots start cracking backs too, and I'm double fucked.
All right, Shay. I don't know how to pronounce your last name correctly, so I'm going to let you do that. How do you pronounce it?
Behboodi.
Behboodi. Okay. That's what I thought it was. And I was like, I don't want to butcher this, man. Welcome to the Underground Society. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Yeah, I got to tell you, dude, sports in high school and then just growing up, that last name did not do me any good, to be honest.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you would be called?
Big Booty was the number one.
Okay. That's
I was a little heftier growing up, but all good.
Well, how are you today, man? It's a pleasure to have you here. I've been wanting to interview you for quite a while now, so it's a pleasure having you on the show finally.
It's an honor to be here, man. I really appreciate you having me, and first podcast ever on my end, so I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, awesome. I know you do a lot in the music industry. You work for a couple different companies. You even teach at Icon Collective. But I wanted to start at kind of going back to the college days, kind of when you first decided that you wanted to go in the music direction. Where did you go to college before you got into music, and what was that for? What was kind of your first direction that you were kind of heading in?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I kind of changed career paths a few times before I got to music. I went to Cal State Northridge. I'm born and raised in LA in the Valley, so I was getting my bachelor's in kinesiology originally. I wanted to go the sports medicine route and, try to become a doctor or a chiropractor, one of the two. But just living here, you're surrounded by the entertainment industry. All of my friends.
You're originally, you're from LA originally, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Born and raised. I was just surrounded by the entertainment industry, and all my friends worked in either film, music, something that had to do with Hollywood, right? So it was kind of just an easy plug in. I was going to concerts all the time, going to raves all the time. Yeah, when I graduated, I was kind of just like, I graduated with, my kinesiology minor, and then I transferred into media studies. And that was just such a broad major that I didn't really know where to dive into. And all signs just led towards going to music. I was, doing little PA jobs here on music video sets, and I was really fascinated by the people around me who did work in the music industry. So who doesn't love music, right? That was another factor. So then, from there, our same college, Cal State Northridge, had a master's program in music business administration. So that's kind of how it all started. I applied, got in, and just knocked out 2 more years and just really honed in on the music industry. And that's kind of where the whole thing took off.
Yeah, that's cool. I know a lot of people, because I know, like we said, you teach at Icon as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But I kind of wanted to ask, for you, what's your difference of opinion? Because I know a lot of people that are either professors or who, I know a couple of people that even have done both. But I've heard good things about people who are involved with Icon who have gone to Northridge. So what's your kind of take on both, since you kind of know both pretty well?
I feel like Icon is a little bit more honed in on the production side of things. I teach in the music business program, which is super new, awesome program, and it is very dance heavy. Whereas I feel like a lot of the people I went to, that were my classmates at Northridge, they were a lot older than me. A lot of them were in the music industry for already 20 plus years, and they were just trying to get in touch with the digital side of things, since the industry changed, tremendously. And, you had people who were, authors of certain artist development books and worked for like Interscope Records. And I was just there like brand new, fresh, had no idea. I was
Yeah.
like maybe 10 to 20 years younger than everyone. And I was just kind of like trying to figure it out on my end. I didn't even know like a master meant. I was just like sitting there like, what the fuck's going on?
I had always thought that the bachelor's, like whenever you had your bachelor's degree and you had to follow that up with that specific master's, I didn't know you could do two different things.
Yeah. I mean, so I was like, when I switched to media studies, that was like the big help.
Okay.
A lot
Yeah.
of the curriculum kind of correlated.
Got
But
it.
yeah, I think those
So
are
it
the two
allowed you to.
differences. Absolutely. I think those are like the
Yeah.
differences
Yeah.
between like, Cal State Northridge is more of like obviously university. You're going to get people
Traditional
coming
school.
in. Exactly. And like,
Yeah.
the scope of that business program, I think is a little bit more wide as far as like, where the connections might lead you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, Icon is very like, okay, I want to almost call it like a trade school, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
just music, just production, just sound engineering, whatever you want to go there for.
Mhm.
It's kind of like
A niche thing, like specific, very
Exactly,
hyper specific.
exactly.
Yeah. What would you suggest for someone who like, well, let me ask you this first. When you wanted to kind of change direction and go that way, did you know the EDM specifically was the direction you wanted to head in, or was
Yeah,
it
I
kind of
mean,
just music generally at that time?
for sure. I mean, like when I first got into the school and the program, they always had like job postings every
Mhm.
week. So actually, my first job was at Capitol Records. I was an assistant,
Oh, sick.
and yeah, it was pretty dope for Caroline Distribution, which is now Virgin. And I got in like right at the time where 6ix9ine was popping off and like Trippie Redd was popping off, and I saw a lot of cool things happen, down the hall.
That's
right.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Even on the dance side, I saw like Illenium pop in The Office one time. I was like,
Shut up, bitch!
I feel like what brought me to the the dance side of things was the community and the people you work with. It's very,
me too, man. Me too.
yeah, the whole player lifestyle definitely trickles over into the business side.
Yeah.
And, I really love where I'm at. And, I feel like dance music's just getting bigger and bigger. I mean, you saw what happened at Coachella this past
Yeah,
couple
dude.
weeks ago.
The
Crazy,
Skrillex
right?
and Fortet, that set was wild.
Yeah, insane.
Good. Shout
So
out to
I feel
freaking Hole too for that whole blow up song. Holy shit. What a
absolute
moment.
menace. Absolute menace.
Yeah.
That kid's definitely he's got a bright future for sure.
Yes, very much so. I wanted to ask you, since you were from LA, did you have any like early connections, or like how did you kind of start to begin to form your network?
Not really. I think my network kind of, yeah, I had a handful of friends that were working in the industry, but nothing to the point where they were at in their careers that they could help me out like immensely.
Mm.
Right. It was more so like, hey, I got this admin job if you want to just get your foot in the door kind of thing.
Right.
And especially in the dance world, it's even smaller. Right. So, I didn't have any family growing up in like the industry. So I kind of was just like, do it yourself mentality. And actually that's the reason why I went to school. It was just like, all right, I'm going to pivot 180. Yeah. I'm going to go full force with it. So I learned a lot in school.
Honestly.
Exactly. I kind of used school to like springboard me into the industry.
Once you did kind of begin to form your network and stuff, how long was that until you started the management stuff? And like we're like confident in like doing the entrepreneurial side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, so my first year in school, I was working more at like the corporate offices, like, Capitol Records. I worked at like Music Reports, which is like a licensing company for PROs. And, they tell you in school, there's so many different sides of the music industry. Go try all of them. Right. So I was like working in publishing, working in licensing, working in, sync, working in obviously doing like, I know admin stuff.
I've heard, I mean, we've known each other for a couple of years now, but I remember you used to do some things for SoundCloud. You were like bouncing around, and then you also did management stuff. You've kind of, like you're kind of explaining, you kind of dabbled in almost everything.
Yeah. And you know what? Like I was being like a hobby manager, quote unquote, running parallel. Just like my first client was like a friend of a friend, and that was kind of just like a hobby situation until like it wasn't, right? But as I was going to school, just learning everything and trying to get as much experience and knowledge as possible. I feel like if you want to be a manager, you should learn everything. Just going to make you a more knowledgeable and powerful manager if you're a triple threat like that, right? So that was my mentality going in with it. And my first year managing was my second year in school, and I was just trying to run it parallel with what I was learning. And just literally studied everything, especially in the dance side.
What were some of your forms of like, I guess, like knowledge and stuff what ways were you studying? Where were you getting your information and stuff from?
I mean, I was just learning about the industry, to be honest, like the dance side.
Just by doing.
Sure. Yeah, because like everything I was learning in the corporate life, it was very hip hop based, pop based, alt rock, right? So like dance was kind of just this brand new thing to me.
And it's kind of ran kind of differently too than like a band or like a pop act or something like that. Like the industry kind of operates slightly differently.
Definitely, I will say it's a good place to be at if you want to do it yourself. With the amount of demand there is right now for dance music, it's a good time to for thinking about being a manager, and it's something you want to do. It's a good time to get in for sure.
Go for it, yeah. I thought it was a good thing that you said too, where you obviously trying different things. But I wanted to ask, what would be your advice to the people who want to try the different things? Where should they start?
I mean, honestly, just be a yes person. Right.
Yeah.
My mentality was say yes to everything because it's a learning opportunity. If someone asks you, do you know how to do this? Just say yes now and learn later. Right. Like
fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Almost.
And it's like 100%. It kind of forces you to really like focus in on what you're doing. And that's what management is, right? There's days where like I don't have a clue like how to, do a request that my artist is asking for, but I go and I research, and it's very much, get thrown into the woods and do your best to come out, So my suggestion would just be say yes to everything because you're just going to become more knowledgeable. I mean, you just said it, right? Like we've known each other for 2 years and I've probably bounced around from office to office.
A few different things.
Yeah. That's just because I feel like that's where I feel like I thrive the most is just learning, nonstop learning, bouncing around, learning something new, getting new experiences.
I think that's why you've been able to take it so far too, is because you're a constant sponge. I think the people who I think that's the right mentality to have, is to be a forever student. I say that so much in this podcast, but forever student, man.
It's crazy. I feel like I'm in a place in my life where like, I'm doing like, I got like 3 different jobs, but each one of them intertwined so well. That's the cool thing about it too, is if you think about it and you kind of come up with a system, you can connect certain things and make it almost like your full package where you're involved in separate things, but it's all, at the end of the day, it's all like the same career. Absolutely.
That's kind of what I want to try and do with the podcast and me becoming a manager, is combining both, like almost using it as a supplemental like marketing type device when I become a manager. So
I mean, dude, like there's no telling where you can take it, right? Like you might vertically integrate into, a label or your own management company.
Something.
Turn it into another business. And I think that's like, you see a lot of managers do that these days. You see a lot of labels, like they'll become like event companies too. And I think that's just where it's at. Everyone wants to be like a one-stop shop and,
diversify.
Absolutely.
The more you diversify too, and the more things you have your hand in, the more, even if it's, thinking about the monetarial side of it, the more wealth you're acquiring, the more things you have your hands in. Even if it's just like $1,000 from this one side project or a couple $1,000s from this, at the end of the month, it's all combining into your paycheck. So
absolutely,
diversifying your income is important.
For sure. If you're working in the music industry, you should definitely do more than one thing. Go try it all out. Right.
Yeah. The next thing I wanted to get into is more of the left brain entertainment stuff. I know I came across that it was originally called something else, right? And then you turned it into left brain management, or you were involved in another management company and then you started your own thing, or how did that kind of work out?
Yeah. So, man, I went freelance to a small boutique company with some friends, back to freelance, and then joined like a massive management company, and now I'm back to freelance. So again, Yeah, that's just me saying yes to everything. It's a
Yeah.
blessing and a curse, right? But yeah, I started out, like I said, like a hobby manager, right? It was a friend of a friend.
Hmm.
Hey, this person needs some advice, and the artist and I got really close, and then started taking off, right? The artist started getting, doing stuff like for like Jai Wolf, and then like
Oh
got
shit.
signed to Denmark, and like then I was like, oh wow, like okay, I can't
Yeah.
just I'm looking out for someone now. Now it's serious. Now I gotta like
Hmm.
get into it, and then just fell in love with it. No longer with that artist anymore, but I think that's just the life of a manager, right? You kind of gotta go through a Rolodex until you find a roster that works for you. It's better
Yeah.
for the manager, better for the artist too, as well.
What do you typically look for when you are looking at artists to, bring on or manage or add to your roster?
I mean, at this point, I love someone. It's cliche, but you gotta love what you do for work.
Yeah.
And right now, like the manager side, it's hard to not get emotional, right? So at this point, like I love to work with the people that I really get along with. Obviously, they got to have the tools, right? Music's like the bare minimum, right? They got to have good
Yeah.
music.
Gotta sound
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
for sure. They got to have, a little bit of being a self starter, right? Like I definitely
Hmm.
want room to bring my ideas to the table, but someone who, has perseverance, has a drive, has passion, and I can feel that same passion
Yeah.
that keeps my engine going. Like that's everything to me.
That's cool. Yeah, and I know you've also brought on team members. Shout out Steph Land.
Shout
I
out
met her
Steph.
back when we hung out in Denver. Do you
Yeah.
have anyone else besides her on your roster for as far or not roster, but your team?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking into a couple of other managers. We're definitely trying to expand, but yeah, Steph is a boss and she's killing it. And I'm so glad she's on the team. She's definitely made my life a lot easier for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's just can't say anything else, but she's killing it.
How many guys are artists, I guess, guys and girls, do you guys both collectively have?
Yeah, so we have 9 altogether, and then she helps me
Okay.
with pretty much like half that roster.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
lot, man. Like
it's a
that's
lot, but
where do typically managers sit like as far as the roster size? Is it kind of just up to each individual person or
I guess it depends on like what the bandwidth looks
yeah.
like. I would say like, and depending on the caliber of the artist, right? You got like
Right.
you manage the excision, you should probably only manage excision, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all business in itself, yeah.
That's all you really need
Yes.
right there.
Yes, yes. And
Um,
income wise, yes, that's all you really need.
income wise,
Yeah.
yeah, but like, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the guy's got like what 10 different businesses as in under one brand, right? So it's
And
like,
I'm sure his manager is also dabbling in, helping him run to the festivals and like whatever other
oh yeah,
business stuff that's going on in the background. So it's that
whole
the
team.
excision, it's a company. Yeah.
He's probably got like 10 people overseeing that.
That's crazy. What is your favorite part of like everything that you do? What would you say your driving force is?
I think seeing the results, right? It's like every single year, I feel like we are getting better. I feel like
Yeah.
we're I like to say that we're managing the next thing in the dance industry, the
Mhm.
next incoming line of artists. The results, man. Even like just getting rejections back, like just sitting there and being like, okay, wow, like that's cool. This person took the time to listen to the music. Like we're in their ear, like just trying to keep
Yeah.
it glass
Or at
half
least in front
full.
of them.
Yeah,
Yep.
like keeping it glass half full is something that's kept me going for sure.
My parents preached the glass half full thing to me when I was a little kid.
For sure. And it's wild. Like, I can't say it enough that I'm such a yes man, and like everything that we see as even if it's like minimal growth, like I'm a true believer in the 1% better every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly think we're, you put in so much time, you put in so many hours into this, and seeing something come into fruition that you planned
Yeah.
and seeing it being executed well is just a gratifying feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say the results definitely keep me going for sure.
Have you ever felt, I know being a manager is kind of like a backseat driver type position. You're the man behind the scenes. Have you ever felt like you ever had an itch to be that front man person or, be on the other side of the spectrum and be actually the creative or?
Yeah,
Have
I
you always
mean,
been like wanting to be in the behind the scene position?
for sure. I mean, like I chose to be a manager, obviously, because like one, if I opened up Ableton, I'd probably blow up your house. I'm just like so not creatively
Rage quit.
sound. Yeah, basically. Like I can give you feedback on a track and that's basically it, man. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely like I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. But it's something where it's such a great feeling being a manager, right? And
Yeah.
just like you got that, like I love just helping people. I think that just is my nature.
I was
Like
gonna
I
say
get,
it's like it's a servant position.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's cool. And like, look, I think to answer your question, it depends on each artist, right? I have some artists that are just like,
Mm.
you can bring your ideas to the table, but if they suck, like I'm not gonna go with it. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool, totally fine. Like I'm the type of guy that's like, I'll bring my ideas to the table, but if you're not down, like I'll only encourage what you want to do at the end of the day.
Mm.
And I'll never like force my ideas on you or anything like that. Like there's a reason why I'm the manager, they're the artists. They get their creative juices going and I just rock with it as best as I can and
Yeah.
try to pitch them as best as I can too.
Are you of the belief that the manager works for the artist instead of the other way around?
To a
'Cause
certain extent.
I've heard that argument from multiple people.
Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely a little bit of that, but at the end of the day, like it takes a village to develop an artist. So it's definitely like,
Yeah.
a team effort
It's a
here,
team
right?
effort.
Like
Yep.
it's never one person's idea. It's multiple brains on a project. So yeah, I mean, technically, like, hey, they're the ones who call the shots at the end of the day. But I also know like, and just anyone in the industry, you should know your value,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
don't you don't have to get like stepped on or anything, right? Like,
Right.
but yeah, there's a certain extent where I feel like the managers get involved with the creative, but never overstep that boundary.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your like long-term plan or like what's your long-term goal with Left Brain? Is it to turn it into a little bit of a bigger corporation, keep growing it, or do you want to keep it kind of
Yeah,
mom and pop?
I mean, I love like the boutique route. Everyone we work with is kind of like on that same realm. I
Yeah.
like it just as much as like it's very, I want to say like family oriented, right? Everyone's
Mm.
close. Everyone is, I can call. It's not like if I'm joining a corporation, I don't want to get put on like hold or anything, or I don't
Yeah.
want to get shelved or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the boutique route. Yeah, I mean, we'll see
Yeah.
where it goes. I think the goal here is
Yeah.
definitely to expand this to the best of our ability and just keep having fun with it.
Yeah. I had a couple more questions about the corporate side of things that you're involved
Mhm.
with and kind of going into talking about the stuff that you do for Vidia. For one, I didn't even know what the hell that was until I did my research. So can you just give me a little bit more of like an insight? It sounds kind of like a distribution platform type of
Yeah,
thing with okay, yeah, you could just explain what that is a little bit.
absolutely. So that is like the day job, right? That's the 9 to 5. I love it. That's what I was doing at SoundCloud. Actually, I was doing distribution for their
Got
parent
it.
company, Repost Network. It's a good time, man. It's the now, right? It's the artists who don't want major label deals, right? They want to stay independent. So like our company, we offer like distribution deals. We do advanced deals.
Yep.
We do like publishing administration. And I want to say it's like similar to like a create, right? Like first to kind of to dumb it down a bit, it's like we're like a fancy distro kid, right? Where you get
Okay.
like full
Yeah.
label services, but you still retain the rights to your masters. And, our advanced deals are just like licensing deals, non-exclusive.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you signed like 10 songs to us, you could still go and release on like Monster Cat. You could still go and release
Oh,
like
cool.
elsewhere. Yeah. So basically for us,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, if we agree to 10 songs, just give us the committed content, but you don't have to like stay within a period of time. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Right.
you can go release elsewhere.
Sweet. Sweet. What are I guess the different things the things that you guys try and do as a company that are different than like a DistroKid or like any of these other distribution platforms? Like what is like the main focus for you guys to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like we like to treat ourselves as, we're not a label, but we like to champion artists to get them to the next
Mm.
level. me personally, it's like my escape from the dance world. I could go and sign whatever I want. I could go sign
Right, right.
metal death band, right? Like, I could go sign a house act, doesn't matter. Like I can
Yeah.
sign whoever, and that's where I feel like I can get my creativity out. Like I can just listen to music all day, see
Interesting.
who the
Yeah.
artist is, and like, try to operate them, into the system, and see, what we can get, and
As
where
far
we
as
can
far
take
as
them.
that, where do you, I know with artists and stuff, you already explained kind of what you look for in that. Does that different when you're looking at like you doing your work for them?
Definitely, because one is very like, if I'm looking for an artist to manage, I want, you're kind of looking at the full package there, right? You're looking at their
Hmm.
branding, you're looking at, their touring history. That's obviously a big one in the dance world. You're kind of just looking at who streams well, who's got that natural
Just
fan
numbers.
base. That I want to say the A&R role these days. It's fun, but all the evidence is and data is right in front of you.
It's
I
there
could
for
look
you.
at
Yeah.
yeah, I could look at Spotify and be like, all right, this person's popping off. Like,
Yeah.
great, let's see. Like I could you know guesstimate what a 3-year deal would look like based off just the data that's in front of us.
Yeah.
With an artist to manage, that's definitely always like a crapshoot. Right? You never know where that artist is going to end up. And same in the A&R world. I mean, hey, just because the artist streams well, they give you a shitty album, it might not stream well, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it
Content
happens.
still
It's
has to be
definitely,
there. Yeah.
absolutely, but it's definitely a
Yeah.
little less. It's a risk, but calculated risk for sure.
You're right. How much of what you learned in college do you apply to your everything? I guess this, not only this, but everything, but mainly for this type of stuff. How much of like what you went to school for do you apply in your everyday activity?
I would say a lot of it for sure.
Good.
Definitely the whole
That's a good
first
thing to
year.
hear.
Yeah, definitely the
A
whole
lot of
first
people are like,
year.
I don't use jack shit for my degree. Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, like it was so focused that it's like, okay, great.
yeah,
I know what the terminology is. I will always say there's nothing better than like the actual experience that you're going to get from like going out into the work field and
hmm,
doing what you got to do, right, to learn. But yeah, I mean, look, if you just, I have the Donald Passman book on my nightstand. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'll look at everything you need to know in the music industry. I'll like refer to that. That's like the musical Bible, right?
I,
For the business side, right? Like, there's some stuff.
I need to get that.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Like,
Yeah,
if you're not trying to go to school, read that book front to back,
yeah,
like multiple times. You'll know everything you need to know. And literally, like, I refer to that book, time, occasionally whenever I'm like stuck on like a publishing
yeah.
deal, or, don't know that, need a refresher on the terminology of something. But yeah, I mean, I would say definitely a lot of what I learned in school is applied into my daily life for sure.
Good. So good to hear. Like I said, I know so many people that are like, I went to school for this, or they get involved in something completely different than what their degree was for, and it's like they don't even apply it. It's like, why even go to school at that point? So I'm glad
Yeah,
that you actually use a lot of what you learned in college. Because yeah, that's crazy.
absolutely. I will. Yeah, 100% though. You got that book though.
Yeah,
You could save some
I'll go
dough.
ahead and link that book in the description. I
Absolutely.
wanted to talk more about the distribution stuff. Obviously, I don't think you were quite. I don't think either of us were quite of age when like the older distribution with
Mhm.
CDs and shit were around. So obviously, you're talking mainly with the newer age distribution with streaming and stuff. And I've been dabbling in a lot of like AI stuff and incorporating AI into my, not only just using that as an example, but newer technology is what I'm getting at.
Mhm.
Incorporating newer technology and how times have changed with that. Have you, any of the new technology with AI or anything, have you incorporated any of the new stuff into like your workflow, or have they adopted anything kind of that have anything to do with that?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I write our press releases with ChatGPT all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's just efficient. I mean, look, again, in school, for sure, like everyone was much older, right? Everyone only understood what the
This was
music
in your
industry
master's
was.
program, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. Pre digital, that's
Why do you think the people that you're going to school with were so much older than you?
because they're just trying to get with the times, right? I went to school in
Okay.
2016. No, I'm sorry. I started the program in 2017. So what, like 2 years after the big Spotify boom, right?
Yeah.
So everyone was still learning how to reinvent.
So a lot of people went back to school.
Yeah, it's like reinventing the wheel for the music industry, right? Like it's a whole new ball game. Doesn't matter what age you're going in. Like everyone's got to figure out this new age of streaming. So the rules were different. Obviously, distribution now plays a massive role into the industry today because you don't need a label. It's a do-it-yourself world, and you can go get funding from a distributor and retain ownership of all your content and thrive, literally.
Yeah. As a manager, since you're kind of involved in both the distribution world and a manager and being in charge of, artist projects and stuff, what do you advise a lot of your artists and stuff to do? Because I've seen your artists kind of do both, release on labels and release, solo. What is your advice as a manager most of the time to them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the indie label side is so relevant in our industry on the dance side. People want to release on like Insomniac imprint for their chance to like leverage, pitching power for a festival or something, right? Our mentality in the dance world is like release on this label for the live side. I don't care if it gets me 10,000 streams. I want to play for this artist, or I want to release on this artist label to go on tour with this artist. And I think a lot of that now is just super saturated. An artist can only take so many people on tour with them. So I just feel like, like when you hit up a label, they're like, yeah, we'll sign it, but we don't have anything up until next year. It's like, well, damn, like, I can't wait.
I've heard stories for like 2 years away.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
long time. Yeah.
For sure. It's happening a lot these days. And I think in the world that we live in with TikTok and the platforms that can help catapult an artist, again, it just goes back into that do-it-yourself reality.
There's better levers that we could be pulled.
Yeah, of course. And look, if you can, and I joined, the distribution side of things because, I know I said it was my escape from the dance world, but I would love more artists to be more in touch with that side. They make music. They probably get the most gratification when they do make their music. And if they focus more on their stream count and focus more on their music side, you're collecting revenue on two different parts of your career now. You don't have to tour 200 days of the year and, burn out, right? And have to rely on touring, right? I mean, if anything taught us that was the pandemic. People who stream well, they were still doing, you getting their revenue.
Yeah. Or the people, there's a lot of people, Eliminate, Moonboy, a couple other people that are like, they're like content creators and they have different revenue streams set up like that too, which is insanely smart.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, you look at like the new age of like the bass artists, right? Like I found Amorphic on TikTok, what I mean? Like, right. So like, if they say like, well, let's put it this way. If they say like, if you want to get in shape, it's 80% diet, 20% gym. I would say for an artist to make it these days, it's 80% marketing, content. 20% music. Yeah. Right? Content. Exactly. So now that you have everything at your fingertips and you can do everything yourself, especially with the way distribution's set up, like go for it. If you can have successful releases every single time on your own without having to rely on a label, you will find yourself getting more natural fans. And then that also correlates to your hard ticket value.
Yeah.
Right. You're not like going just on support on a tour for someone, right? Where it's like, your name's not the one selling tickets. Like, you're getting exposure, but like what true
that's
value
a huge
is
thing.
that? Yeah.
There's a lot of shows, especially like one-off shows and stuff. Like you can't even get those shows a lot of time unless you do have ticket pulling power.
Exactly.
Like you have to be able to sell tickets. So
yeah, I mean, look, like the most important two metrics on Spotify that I look at when it comes to that is like how many people are actually going to your profile and clicking on your music. Yeah. Because like, you can get on an editorial playlist, but how many fans are you going to develop shuffling through a giant playlist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like if we as a community, I feel like looked into our streams a little bit more and like how to actually like develop a natural fan base rather than, for lack of better words, ride the coattail of another artist. You know, I feel like, yeah, you might not get a lot in the beginning, but thinking long term, you'll have a longer career.
They'll have those diehard fans and a solid foundation. It's all about just,
Yeah,
you got to build the foundation. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a lot about all the things that you're involved in and stuff, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about your personal journey and your personal experience. Throughout your time of getting involved in all these different things, jumping around, dipping your toes in different things, what has been like the most challenging thing for you along your entire journey from school to now?
I mean, like it's not
if you can chalk it up to one thing.
Yeah, I would say, I did dabble a little bit about like, seeing the results, but the music industry is risky, right? The one thing that's always in the back of my head is like the uncertainty, right? You never know what's going to happen. Like you brought up AI. What if AI just wipes all of the artists out? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what I've been afraid of that for over a year now. That's been talks for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like you never know where our industry is heading these days with it, in such a digital world that we live in, right?
Or COVID, how everyone's kind of the mainstream of income got shut down for a while.
Absolutely. And like, you never know. Like, I feel like the uncertainty is just like we're not doctors here, I think that's like the one thing that's always like in my back of my head. I'm like, damn, the robots, man, they're gonna take over the world. But
not that we need to think too far into that quite yet, at least for now.
But hopefully now we're good.
What would be, and I don't even know if you've even thought about this, but this kind of just popped in my head. What would be like your backup plan if like if that did happen? What would be your next move for if you had to get pushed out of music?
I mean, I would probably head into I would dip back into like the kinesiology world, probably go become like a chiropractor or something.
Oh yeah, because you have a degree in that, so
yeah. Unless robots start cracking backs too,
who knows?
Then I'm double fucked,
Right. The thing that I get hung up with that idea with is the live show aspect. Like it's still like you still have, at least for my personal opinion, and I think a lot of people share this same view, is like you still have to have someone there up there playing the music, interacting with the crowd. Like some of the best performers are some of the best. Like it's not even really about them playing the music. It's about their stage presence. It's about like all those other factors. So
absolutely, like even the VR movement, like they're like, oh, VR is going to take over, like, the live event side. I'm like, no way. Like,
no,
dude, you need that authenticity, right?
Yeah,
like, you need to be there.
Which is kind of cool. That's happening at the same time as you just brought up authenticity, like the whole crypto stuff that's happening and stuff, like authenticity and NFTs and all that stuff for ticketing is going to be a wave too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even this week we had like a couple of calls with like different platforms similar to like an Audius, that they pay out in crypto, or like, fans could buy a piece of the song. And it was just like, I mean, guess we're getting back into that world again, Yeah, still can't wrap my head around it, but it's definitely heading in that direction, I feel like.
Did you ever get into crypto or anything like that while it was hot?
I'm pretty traditional. I'm pretty old school, man. I got the 401k,
the old trusty stuff.
Yeah. Just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? It's just like that's like that 10% return. I'll take it.
If you have play money and you have something that you just kind of want to like go see if you can make quick money or whatever, I think until crypto gets to the point of where it is actually like a stable thing, it's definitely something to say. It's like you're just gambling at this point. Like you gotta be careful.
I was just gonna say, like, instead of doing it, I love sports betting. It's just like it's fun. Like that's like something that's like interactive. You can do with your friends. It's like a social thing. Never fun to lose, which happens often, but right.
Something that people get hung up on is they try and sprint to get results, and it's not the way to go about it.
Big believer in that, right? Like, fast success is not really, sustainable, right?
Yep.
You got to take some,
and it means less.
You got to fall down a couple times, right? You got to understand how to lose if you want to learn how to win, right? That's just the norm.
Absolutely. What would your advice be to the people who, maybe with today's, especially today's day and age, and people are addicted to TikTok and video games and all that shit, especially our newer generation, people who are struggling to stay motivated, what would your advice to them be?
Cut out all the distractions. If
Yeah.
you're on TikTok, I mean, me personally, like I'm TikTok's my guilty pleasure. I've deleted it for 3 weeks now, and like literally I'm getting like
Good for
better
you.
sleep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I took like a cleanse from it, like
Yeah.
and that's just like one thing, right? Like, if you're playing video games too much or whatever it is, like just go. There's no, yeah, we talked about school and we talked about
Hmm.
all this stuff and education, right? But anyone could wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to be a manager. So it's like getting a dog. If you want a dog, go get a dog. If you want to be a manager, you got to get up and do it, right?
Just
But
do it.
you got to fall in love with it, because it's a very selfless job, right? You're waking up every
Mhm.
day and thinking about, all right, how am I going to get this person to the next, part of their career? It's a very servicing job. It's a very much so like, hey, like there's going to be long days, right? Long nights, a lot of passionate people you're dealing with too. There's going to be a lot of conflicting ideologies. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard on the back end, you know what I mean? But, if you truly love it, I would say go for it.
Yeah.
Just understand
Super
what comes
rewarding.
with it. And yeah, literally like, get off your ass and do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that's what everyone who's like successful in this industry, they're just like literally just freaking start. Like just you just gotta like commit and
Just
just
start.
do it and follow through.
Like,
Yeah.
every
It
artist,
doesn't have
right?
to be big in the beginning.
Same thing. Yeah. Like, a lot of artists, like going back to the school thing, like, yo, you can just get the Donald Passman book, start there, read it front to back.
Hmm.
You'll at least have some knowledge. You'll at least know what people are talking about. Same thing for any producer, right? Like, you don't have to go to Icon, like, be
Yep.
successful. Like, open up a YouTube tutorial, go for it, right? Like, just be self-taught. I'll pretty much, there's only 2 artists of mine that went to Icon, and
Yeah.
the rest are just self-taught.
Yep. Putting in the reps. Just look at even the top of our game too. Like there's someone Subtronics, Sudden Death, like Excision. Like none of those guys went to freaking school. They just did it.
No, they just did it. And like, I mean, you look at Excision. That's like one of the smartest businessmen I've ever witnessed in this industry. Like
Yep.
everything he touches turns to gold, and that's it's admirable, really. It is
For sure.
For
sure. Yeah. Well, what are the different things that you want to achieve long term in your career? What are some of your like wild dreams in 20, 30 years you want to achieve?
Yeah, man. I mean, with everything going on, like I'd love to teach at like USC. Kind of go like private school, university route. Like, I want to take each career path of where I'm at right now to the next level. So like, the teaching side, I want to like write books. I want to teach my own curriculum at like a university. That's for sure. Like, that's definitely what I want to happen probably in the like next 5-10 years. For management, I just want to keep scaling the artist and scaling the company to get them where they want to get to. And, obviously expand our bandwidth a little bit more. And then for like the Vidia side, man, I would love a bunch of plaques. I want a wall full of plaques. I want the billboards. I want the Grammys. I want all that good stuff. I want the prizes.
Wildest dreams. Yes.
Yeah.
That's definitely. It's almost like in our industry. It's almost like I just thought of like the rest like WWE wrestling belts. Like it's like our like prize possession.
For sure. I'm pretty close to that last goal. So
sweet.
I'm just waiting on a couple more streams, hopefully.
Awesome. Yeah. Right.
A year or two.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the management side, I'd love a plaque there too.
Oh, for sure. That'd be sick.
100%.
Any of your guys,
Cool.
yeah, any of your guys too. Especially the guys that I've met and become, decent friends with, and now they're awesome. So I wish nothing but for them. Yeah, nothing but the best for them too. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, we are getting to time. We try and wrap up within the hour, but before we wrap up, do you have any questions for me? Do you have anything to promote or anything to get out there, or any questions, any wrap up stuff that you want to get to?
Yeah, I mean, Freaky and Chassis just announced the tour. So
yes,
if you're a fan,
congrats.
Definitely go buy a ticket.
Are you guys coming to NorCal or no? Are they coming to NorCal?
We're working on NorCal. We're actually in talks right now for NorCal.
Cool.
So that should be in the calendar soon.
Awesome. I will slide out to that one because that's where I'm at. So I'll be there for that one.
Nice. Okay, we'll drive up. Yeah, we're planning a tour. We're doing some stuff with Dirty Audio right now, so that's cool. But yeah, man, where do you want to take the podcast? Where do you see yourself integrating, scaling the company?
Yeah, integrating. Yeah, obviously, I'm trying to get my ass to Icon so I can get my education side of things, the management side done, music business program with that, and then just continuing the podcast, continuing to grow. I really my parents are entrepreneurs, so this is my they had their babies, and I watched them take care of their babies as in their businesses my entire life. So yeah, just keep going with that and trying to provide as much value to the people who want to be in the industry that I can, and keep scaling it and hopefully get sponsors and start making money from it at some point. Yeah. And then management side, just get my school done, and wherever that leads me, I'm open to anything. So
dude, I love it. Hey, if you ever want to sit in on a class, you totally can.
Yes, for sure. I would love that.
Oh yeah, when you're in LA, you gotta come to LA pretty soon, man.
Yeah, I have friends that live down there, so I was just there a couple months ago. I was there in January, but I'll try it. Next time I plan a trip down there, I'll hit you up and maybe try and plan a day to sit in and on a class while I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sweet. I do want to see what that music business, because I know how valuable the school is and everything, and that's the EDM side of things is directly where I want to go, so it seems like a good place for me. But yeah, I've never actually seen any of their curriculum or sat in on anything, so that'd be really cool experience for me.
For sure. Just let me know. I'll get you sorted. No problem.
Well, a couple last questions. Where can listeners find you and follow along? Not only you personally, but all the different things that you're involved with.
Instagram. That's where I post the bulk. I'm not really a Twitter guy. I follow 30
Dude,
people.
Me neither. I can't. I hate Twitter.
I just follow my artists, make sure they're not doing anything dumb, That's it. Right. And then other than that, Instagram, Shay _Behboodi. That's BEHBOODI. I'm sure it'll be in the description. But
awesome.
Yeah. That's where I post everything.
Final question. If there is one piece of advice you could give yourself when you first shifted gears from kinesiology to your master's degree in music, what advice would you give to your younger self at that moment?
Do it again, because I love it.
Do it again? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't rewrite it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone respond with that, so that's cool.
That's just you can't live with regret, You have one life, just do it, right? If you want to achieve a goal, go for it, right? There's nothing that should stop you. Yeah. Don't try to rewrite history. Just embrace your memories, your experiences, whether they were good or bad. Turn it into a positive. I think the motto of this portion is glass half full life.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, brother. Thank you for having me.